Welcome to this explainer. Look, we always hear about massive data breaches at those giant multinational corporations, right? But what actually happens when a local shop, a boutique agency, or a mid-sized accounting firm gets hit? Today, we're tearing down the misconceptions and looking directly at the data to understand exactly why small to medium enterprises are in the crosshairs, and more importantly, how you can build a safety net to survive it.
Let's just jump right in and confront what is arguably the most dangerous myth in Australian business right now, the idea that you are simply too small for hackers to care about. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? Like, why would a sophisticated hacker halfway across the globe care about your local supply chain business or independent medical practice? Well, as we're going to see, these cybercriminals aren't always hunting for the biggest payout. They're hunting for the path of least resistance.
To put this into perspective, a staggering 90% of cybercrime reports in Australia and New Zealand come from businesses pulling in under $2 million in revenue. 90%. The overwhelming majority of successful breaches aren't hitting the giants. They are hitting everyday small businesses. If your annual revenue is under that $2 million mark, you are absolutely not flying under the radar. Actually, scratch that. You're exactly who they are successfully hitting. And if that wasn't enough of a wake-up call, how about this? A cybercrime report is filed every 6 minutes in Australia. Think about that pacing for a second. By the time we finish this short explainer, at least one more Australian business will have picked up the phone or logged onto a portal to report that their systems have been compromised. The sheer volume and velocity of these attacks, it's relentless.
So to really wrap our heads around this landscape, our explainer today is going to hit 5 key areas. 1. The small business target. 2. The true cost of attacks. 3. How hackers strike. 4. Minding the insurance gap. And 5. Lowering your cyber risk.
All right, Section 1, the small business target and shattering that myth.
Get this, small to medium enterprises now make up 43% of all cyber attacks nationwide. You're not just some fringe demographic in the cybercrime economy. You are the primary revenue stream. Almost half of the entire effort expended by hackers in Australia is pointed right at the SME sector.
Here's the real kicker. Hackers aren't necessarily after your highly valuable data. They're targeting you simply because your defenses are, well, easier to break than a massive corporation's. It's automated opportunism. Big enterprises have dedicated IT security teams, massive budgets, the whole shebang. Small businesses, they often rely on basic passwords and maybe some outdated software. To a hacker running automated scripts across the web, you basically look like a house with the front door left wide open. Moving on to Section 2, the true cost of attacks and the anatomy of the damage. According to the ASD's annual cyber threat report, the average cost of an incident has jumped 14% to an eye-watering $56,600. And honestly, broader estimates push that well past the $100,000 mark depending on the breach. For a small business, a sudden, completely unbudgeted hit of nearly 60 grand, that's enough to absolutely cripple your cash flow, grind operations to a halt, and in some cases, close the doors for good.
And you know, that massive number isn't just about paying the ransom. Incident response means showing out premium rates for emergency IT forensics just to stop the bleeding. Downtime means literally zero revenue while your staff are staring at blank screens. Then you factor in the legal costs for Privacy Act obligations, plus the unquantifiable, lingering reputational damage of telling your clients and suppliers you lost their data. The ransom payment? That's often just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, Section 3. Let's look at exactly how hackers strike and the tactics used against you.
Business email compromise, or BEC for short, is the most common form of attack. This costs Australian businesses tens of millions every single year when employees unknowingly pay fake invoices. It's pure social engineering. They aren't hacking your computer, they're hacking your people. They'll send an incredibly convincing email, maybe pretending to be a trusted supplier or even the ATL, claiming their bank details have changed. An employee updates the record, pays the invoice, and boom! The money vanishes into a fraudulent account. It is shockingly simple and incredibly effective.
Beyond those fake emails, we're seeing hackers lock systems down with ransomware, steal passwords from prior breaches, and sneak in through compromised third-party suppliers. Ransomware literally encrypts your entire system until you cough up the cash. Credential theft? That's usually an employee reusing a password from a personal account that was breached years ago. And supply chain attacks mean that even if your own security is bulletproof, a hacker might break into your payroll provider or accounting software and get to you through the back door.
And it's not just the hackers you have to worry about. The regulatory burden is piling up fast. With the Cybersecurity Act of 2024, we saw mandatory reporting roll out. By 2025, over 75 Australian businesses were forced to publicly disclose their ransom payments. And looking ahead to next month, July 2026, AML Tranche 2 changes mean even more businesses will face incredibly strict mandatory data breach notification laws. So yeah, you aren't just dealing with criminals anymore, you're dealing with strict compliance laws.
Which brings us to Section 4, Mind the Insurance Gap, or what we like to call the coverage illusion.
Here is the critical gap where so many get caught out. Your standard business or liability policy was likely written way before cyber was considered a distinct risk, meaning you probably have zero protection without a standalone cyber policy. So many business owners sleep soundly thinking their standard business pack has their back. It doesn't. Those policies specifically exclude electronic data, system failures, and digital crime. Without a standalone cyber insurance policy, you are quite literally walking a tightrope without a net. A proper cyber insurance policy, which by the way usually runs in SMEs somewhere between $1,500 and $4,000 a year, steps in to cover these exact catastrophic costs. It covers first-party losses like system restoration, it covers business interruption, literally replacing the revenue you bleed while offline, it handles the incident response team, the PR nightmare, and crucially, funds lost to social engineering and BEC. For a fraction of that average $56,000 loss we talked about, this policy is specifically built to handle a digital disaster.
Finally, Section 5, Lowering your cyber risk, building the shield and the safety net.
By implementing proper security controls, you don't just stop hackers in their tracks. You also prove to insurers that you are a safe debt, which can directly lower your premiums. It's a total win-win. Look, insurers don't want to underwrite a business that leaves its digital doors unlocked, right? The more mature your security posture is, the more favorably an insurer is going to view your application.
Following the Australian Cybersecurity Centre's Essential 8 framework is hands down your best defense against an attack turning into a business-ending disaster. And the best part? These aren't wildly expensive IT overhauls. Implementing multi-factor authentication, or MFA, on your emails stops most credential theft cold. Doing regular software updates patches those holes hackers are sniffing around for. Training your staff to spot phishing stops BEC. And keeping regular, off-site backups, that means if ransomware does hit, you can just wipe your systems and restore from yesterday's backup without paying a single cent to the hackers. So, reflecting on everything we've unpacked today, I want you to ask yourself honestly about your own systems. Because when it comes to cybercrime, hope is definitely not a strategy. We've seen the data. The costs are skyrocketing, the attacks are relentless, and small businesses are the primary target. Are you operating with the right security controls and a dedicated cyber insurance policy, or have you just managed to dodge the bullet so far? The landscape is shifting fast, and proactive preparation is the only way to ensure your business survives the inevitable. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and stay secure out there.